Chicago, 2011. A cop is murdered. Police and prosecutors swear they have the trigger man. He swears he didn't do it. How far will each side go to prove they're right?
Like it's just one bombshell after another, where you're like, what?
The story of a PlayStation, a brain-eating amoeba, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Off Duty, out now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Howdy, howdy, ho, and welcome to Fantasy Fan Fellas. I'm Hayden, producer of the Fantasy Fangirls podcast and your resident lover of all things Sanderson.
And I'm Steven, your bookish internet goofball, but you can call me the Smash Daddy.
And we are currently deep diving Brandon Sanderson's fantasy epic, Mistborn. But here's the catch. Steven here has not read Mistborn before.
That's right, hey. So each week, you'll get my unfiltered, raw reactions to every single chapter.
And along the way, we'll do character deep dives, magic explainers, and Steven will even try to guess what's next. Spoiler alert, he'll be wrong.
Newsflash, I'm never wrong. Episodes come out every Wednesday, and you can find Fantasy Fan Fellas wherever you get your podcasts.
Let's be completely honest. Are you happy with your job? The fact is, a huge number of people can't say yes to that. Too many of us are stuck in a job we've outgrown or one we never really wanted in the first place. But we stick it out and we give reasons like, what if the next move is worse? And I've put years into this place. And maybe the most common one, isn't everyone miserable at work? But there's a difference between reasons for staying and excuses for not leaving. It's time to get unstuck. It's time for Strawberry.me. They match you with a certified career coach who helps you get from where you are to where you want to be, either at your existing job or by helping you find a new one. Your coach helps clarify your goals, creates a plan, and keeps you accountable along the way. Go to strawberry.me/career and get 50% off your first coaching session. That's strawberry.me/career.
Hello and welcome back to the Psych Legal Pop Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about popular culture through the lens of an attorney and a therapist. I'm the therapist, Tess Brigham.
And I'm Brooke Brigham. I'm the attorney.
All right. And we are back talking about Sister Wives, Season 3, Episode 5, Defending Polygamy. And this is quite a doozy of an episode. It is a good episode. We are going back to Lovell, Wyoming. We're getting to know Kody when Kody was back in high school. We're learning a lot about him, about his high school days and what he was like then. So, it was... Boy, lots to talk about.
Yeah, lots to talk about. But before they go to Wyoming, Kody and Robin go to a birthing class.
Yes. Well, we actually pick up right where we left off last time with the sonogram. And we're learning all about baby boy Brown 17, and we're talking about names, what to name this baby. And so they're going around the room talking about what to name him, and but the last name Brown, you can many names.
Yeah. Well, who was it that wanted to name him Cleveland Brown?
Was that
Dayton or
Dayton? Maybe.
That's
and then
clever.
Robin didn't know who Cleveland Brown was, that it was a team.
She said, "Is that a person?" But actually, it is a cartoon character.
Cleveland Brown.
Yeah. Remember
Brown?
There was a whole. He had his own show. Was it the Simpsons creators? I think he might have started out being a friend of Homer Simpson.
Oh, really?
And then they got their own show.
Oh.
Cleveland was the father. And so he is a cartoon character.
Well, look at Dayton, like ahead of his time.
Yeah, he's probably watching that show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yes. So you're right. So I just felt like, so do you think this birthing class was the producers or Robin?
I think it was the producers, because there's no reason for them to go to this class. She's had 3 kids. He's had however many million kids. Why do they need to go to a birthing class?
They don't. But this is what I'm wondering is, did the producers say, "Oh God, we got to fill some time"? Or do you think that Robin was like...
She had an idea?
Yeah, she had this idea, or I need to feel special with Kody. Like, this is our first baby together. We need to, just Robin being Robin.
And it was an opportunity for her to lecture. There was a lot of lecturing.
There was so much
lecturing. She got to lecture about, how polygamous women have their babies and, how it works and how the sister wives, whatever.
But it was a lot of her being able to tell us about how, yes, they've had babies separate, but now they're having these babies together, and how it's so important for them because they're together now, that they need to have these classes together. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It could go either way.
Yes.
But it was totally boring. But I like the cool midwives at the end. 'Cause one of them said that they've never had a polygamist. Well, she said they've had polygamist couples in there before, but she said never had a polygamist be that vocal, because usually they're trying to lay low, but then enter Robin.
Yes.
And
Kody.
And then she says, I'd love a sister wife. And the other one says, me too. And then they kind of like hug up against each other.
Well, this was the other thing too, is Robin talks about how it's so hard having children with someone who's not there for her. It's children need it's hard when you don't have a strong male figure. And of course, alluding back to her ex-husband. Mm-hmm. Again, I know that you don't really want to tell us exactly what's going on, but can you stop alluding to things with this guy?
Right. Either say it or don't say it.
It's like shit or get off the pot.
Exactly.
It's a lot of like, stop teasing us and tell us already what's going on and what happened, or just.
I bet you anything it was now nowhere near as bad as what Robin thinks. And I bet you he just got sick of her, because she's so annoying. She's so needy and annoying.
Or maybe he was just so sick of her being like, we need sister wives. We need sister wives.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, we don't need sister wives. We're fine. We can get into the celestial kingdom without them. Or something. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's true. Because, he comes from a, polygamous family, a very famous polygamous family. So it is kind of weird that he didn't want to have more wives, but I don't know. Who knows? God, I hope someday that guy writes a tell-all.
Oh, if only. If only.
God, he could get a pretty good advance for that, I think.
That would be so good. If only. Let's all dare to dream, people. Let's all come together.
Let's pray for it, manifest it,
we
whatever.
manifest
Put it out
this
in the
Jessup
universe.
guy coming together to tell us what the real truth is. Wouldn't that be great if he did?
Oh my God, it would be earth-shattering.
It would be. If the real truth of what really happened.
Yeah.
What if she was the monster?
Well, that's kind of what I'm thinking, because she can't give us any concrete examples
of him being
of what was wrong with their marriage.
Yeah.
And why was he so unsupportive? What was he not doing? Come on, give us some details.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, at the same time, we see Christine. They are at Christine's and they're loading the car because everyone is going to Lovell, Wyoming for Mustang Days. And this is a big deal because they are going to be out as polygamists. And they're going to be having a get-together with some of his high school friends. And they're also going to be spending some time with Ken Grant, who is a piece of work.
He's an angry person.
Yes. Ken is So...
Well, and this is Ken's angry.
Yes, Ken is very, very angry.
Because this is a Mormon community. Mm-hmm. But, I guess they're not, they're hostile towards polygamists, or at least Ken is. I don't know if the other people feel as strongly.
No, it didn't seem like it.
Yeah.
It seemed like everyone else was kind of like,
And also Kody's dad and his wives have been living there this whole time. So obviously they're getting along there, okay.
Yeah.
See what the big deal is, but
yeah. So I guess Ken and Kody grew up together, and then I guess they were estranged for about 10 years, and then Kody says that about 8 years ago they started doing business together, which was what? He sold him a sign?
Or maybe he was...
Or a gun?
Is this before his gun?
So if he 8 years ago was selling signs, was it a sign?
Well, yeah, because we have to think about the fact that was...
So if it's 2011...
2011, 2012. Because there was an assault weapons ban in place until...
So there's 2004?
I don't know. I can't do the math on all this right now, but I don't know. But Ken is still upset.
And you would think that you think in the beginning you think that he softens, and then he doesn't. We'll see it throughout the episode.
You think what?
You think that Ken kind of gets over it, and then he doesn't.
This is a
Ken is a little bit of a conspiracy theorist here, but
and
anyway.
I had a note here. I don't know why, because I think because I was looking at Kody's hair again. Remember I said something last week about how Kody's hair looked really weird, and it does look weird in all of these episodes. Mm-hmm. And I must have commented on it, or no, I guess I mentioned it in the podcast last week. And one of our listeners, Chelsea, she posted on Instagram that Janelle and somebody else addressed this one time. They said Kody got a haircut that was really bad. Oh. And he had to put extensions in. Oh. Because you know how he is with his hair.
Yes.
Like somebody cut it too short and he had to wear extensions. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense.
So wait, in these scenes,
in these episodes we're reviewing right now.
Extensions?
Yeah.
Oh, I've got to go back and see.
Yeah. And especially in the ones coming up, after this Defending Polygamy episode, I really started to notice it. His hair was really like different lengths on. I mean, it was a mess.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to have to go back and look at that.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I guess someone in Vegas gave him a bad haircut.
Yeah. Or
well, that's always tough. You know, when you move and you have to find a new hairdresser, a new stylist, that's always a tough one.
Or maybe one of the wives tried to give him a haircut and it just went really wrong.
Oof. All right. Well,
okay. Anyway,
yes, this is a they're explaining to us how this is a very strong Mormon community. And so they're very anti-polygamy. And so they have very strong feelings about their faith. And so some people are not going to be thrilled about the Browns coming into their town.
Yeah, and Kody says he was naive when he made the change to the FLDS. He basically just did it, I think, from pressure from his parents. Because he came back from doing his mission, and his parents, while he was gone, had become FLDS. Mm-hmm. And I think they pressured him, and I think they pressured him to get married and take on multiple wives pretty quickly. Because I think his decisions in marrying all of the first three seemed pretty hasty to me.
Yeah.
After reading the book, and it was kind of like, remember Mary and Kody had been waiting for this one girl to turn 18.
Yes.
They wanted to marry her, but when she changed her mind, they just said, oh, okay, well, I guess we'll marry Janelle.
Yeah.
And literally married Janelle the next week or 2 weeks later. And it was just okay. And then the thing with Christine too, it was kind of okay, we need someone to come in and,
because these two aren't getting along.
Okay, well, Christine, she's been hanging around me forever. She's in love with me. I guess I'll marry her.
Yeah, because they talk about this a little bit later, or maybe in another episode about Mary, which is he goes on this mission, he comes back. The parents are like, hey, guess what? Mm-hmm. We're now part of this new religion. We believe in polygamy. They tell him, they kind of convince him, this is what we need to do. And I guess Mary was part of this church. Mm-hmm. And I guess Mary was really into it. And I get the sense that he was really into Mary. Mm-hmm. And I think that Mary was like, hey, yeah, this is a good thing. Let's do this.
She was putting pressure on him,
I think that Mary was really into him too. And I think that was, and Mary says, yeah, I was trying to figure out whether or not I wanted to do this too. And I think they both, and I love how they talk about this testimony. It's like, yeah, we're horny for each other. So I guess that's the testimony is, yeah, we wanted each other. So maybe this is going to work.
Yeah.
So this seems good. So we'll do this. But yeah, that is, and that's the one thing that I guess about Ken Grant that really friggin' irritates me is Ken at no moment can really kind of understand what that would be like.
Yeah, he has no compassion.
He has no compassion at all at any moment. He kind of in a moment has that, but cannot stop.
He can't sustain it.
He can't sustain it. That's a good way of saying it. So
yeah, and then he also says, of course, and this everyone says this in this episode, that Kody always liked the limelight.
Oh, yes.
And so it was no surprise to him that he went public.
Yes, yes. So they all drive to Lovell, Texas.
16 hours, but we don't know how long it actually took them.
Oh, Lord. We didn't
get any timestamps this episode, unfortunately.
Yeah, we unfortunately don't get we tried to leave at 2, but it's now 10 o'clock at night or any of that kind of stuff. But their first activity in Lovell is they're going to go boating with Ken Grant. And of course, Kody went to set up the food. They're all waiting at the food. Ken is going boating. Ken's at the boat. So they're all waiting at each other. And there's lightning and rain and storming. What are we going to do? So I guess, and then we meet sort of Ken's family, and Ken's family is very nice.
Right.
All
his
of the
wife
people,
and her sisters.
Yeah, and all the people connected with them are very, very, they're very nice. They're asking questions. They want to know, who are you? And what was kind of weird is, did you notice we do not see Mary at all? We're like 16 minutes into this episode, and we've seen Mary on the couch, but I have not seen Mary at all. Did you notice that?
I didn't notice. But I do remember her, maybe she got there later or something, because I remember her at the end when they had the fireworks. She was there.
Yeah, but I just thought it was I was like, is Mary here?
She probably came, maybe she came up a day later or something. I don't know.
So the storm finally clears. They go out on the boat. They go inner tubing, jumping off cliffs. And this is when Ken and Kody, they go off on the boat alone to talk about what happened 20 years ago and, what happened with their friendship. And
Ken said that he didn't like the proselytizing that came from Kody when he made the change. And Ken just calls it a crazy decision. I mean, he's just really, his feet are dug in on this. He just thinks this is ridiculous. He's never going to accept it.
Well, and I thought that is this where Kody says this? And I think that what he said was very truthful and I think very right on. Right. And I don't really agree with Kody a lot, but I thought this was very right on, which was like, I think what you saw from me was enthusiasm, which was, hey, I'm doing this thing now. My parents are really into it. And I also think a lot of times what you see from people is a little bit of, okay, I'm doing this now. I've got to be enthusiastic about it.
Right.
I'm excited about it. Hey, I think that Ken really misunderstood excitement and enthusiasm and, hey, I'm doing this. I'm happy. Support me.
Right.
For, hey, I'm doing this. I'm happy.
You need to come join me.
Yeah. I want you to do this with me. And Ken really, really, for whatever reason, took this personally. He really did. As if Kody spit in his face by deciding not to be a Mormon anymore.
Yeah, and as if they couldn't still be friends. Like, why can't they still be friends?
Yeah.
That'd be like saying, well, I was Jewish and I converted to Catholicism, so, we can't be friends. I can't be friends with my Jewish friends anymore. I mean, it's like, God, Ken, get over it.
Yeah. Ken really took that to be a big deal. So, and then, we see, what is this? We're now outside with, I
have next that they are at the parents' ranch. And then I wrote down, townspeople don't seem very thrilled to have them there.
Oh, yeah. We have this scene where we see, where we see like Kody with Christine and Janelle and Robin, and we see like Cody's mom and Janelle's mom. And
are they at the ranch?
Well, yeah, they're kind of like sitting outside and they're talking about, oh God, and we're talking about, was this Robin's big thing about how like when you see Kody or a man like put his arm around two women, that like there's this real sort of salacious connotation when a man, was this her talking about this?
It sounds like her. Yeah.
She was talking about like when a man puts his arm around two women, that it's like this very salacious connotation, but that's not really what it is. Like, these are relationships and we have commitments to each other and all this. Like, it was kind of this new lecture. And I'm like, Robin, no one thinks when a man puts his arm around two women and no one thinks that's salacious.
Nobody is getting excited, and it's like, yeah, because they're talking about how they're afraid to. Oh, well, I think they were talking about when they were there in the past, before Robin came along. They visited there, obviously. That's his family. And so they would go to this Mustang Days parade or whatever, and they wouldn't all sit together necessarily, but they'd be there together, but they sort of acted like they didn't, they're trying to act like they're not polygamous. And so they were conscious of that. And so now obviously everybody knows, but I think what they were saying is, well, we're not gonna just all walk around holding hands together or anything. They don't do that anyway. They're not affectionate in public anyway.
Yes.
And then Robin comes up with this salacious, putting her arm around someone thing, and you're just like, oh God, shut up. That it's a bad example, and it's like, you don't need to give an example. We get it.
Yes.
We understand.
And most people that are in long-term committed relationships aren't like tonguing each other at the middle of Mustang Days.
Travis and Courtney.
Yeah, with your 20 kids, you're not like, you're
not like,
let's get an otter pop.
You're not walking with your arms around each other, holding hands. You know. No.
Yeah. Anyway, I just wrote that down because I'm like, oh God, another lecture from her.
I know, it's just endless.
Yeah. So they're talking about the expectations for how the people of Lovell are going to react to them. And then we get some reactions from the townspeople. Let's see. What was it? Like, Browns give wrong impression. Oh, I think some of the townspeople, some townspeople said, oh, yeah, that's right. This woman, Sharon Lyman, who dated Kody's father, they're good people. They've just got the wrong ideas. Browns give wrong impression of Lovell. So I think some of the townspeople don't want them to represent Lovell or represent Mormonism. And so then the parade starts. So finally we see Mary. And then we hear from Mary. This is where she talks about how she met Kody through his sister. Mm-hmm. Now, have we ever met Kody's sister? Because I was a little bit like, at first I thought she meant her sister. And I was like, wait, his sister?
His sister. Yeah, because he was saying he believed he would be a polygamist even when he was on his mission. Now, is that before or after you found out that your parents became polygamists? And then Mary's family facilitated Kody getting into the faith, it's like you were saying earlier.
Yeah. And then she says, I was so whooped. He was so cute. Then I was willing to. Then she basically says, then I was willing to because I loved him so much. And then this is so weird. Robin,
is it another lecture?
No, it was Robin's like, thanks her. Oh, thank you, Mary, for converting Kody. And everyone laughs.
Oh my God.
And it's so uncomfortable. And it's in these moments where I think Christine laughs because I think that's more of her sense of humor. But Janelle is like,
Janelle can barely crack a smile.
Yeah, this is so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of thing where I would be so mortified if I was part of this family. I would just be like, ugh, God, is this person in my world? Like, ugh.
Yeah, every family has
one of these.
A person like that who you just go, God, like, why does this person have to be in my family?
It's just so uncomfortable, and it's so weird. It's so, I don't know. I just find her fascinating.
I hear you. She's fascinating and completely annoying at the same time, and you can't look away. It's just like,
but why? What is it about? Like, I just want to get down to the nitty gritty of like, why does she feel this need to thank her? Like, why?
Because she's made it her mission to just come into this family, and she's going to just fit in, and she's going to look like the perfect polygamous wife, and she's just going to tell everyone how into it she is.
But you know what it is? It's just that she's one of these people who is so desperate to look. You know what it is? You know that person that is always tries to go out and buy like the latest jeans, the latest whatever, but can never look cool, no matter how hard they try.
Right.
You know that she thought that comment was so funny and cool.
Yeah.
And you're just like, Robin, don't, please. You cannot, no matter how hard you try, you cannot be cool.
Right.
So stop.
People who are over-explainers, she kind of reminds me of an over-explainer, which I think is a trauma response. People who explain all constantly just too much. It's like, okay, like defending themselves, explaining themselves, explaining everything that they did, because no one ever listened to them or believed them or whatever. It kind of reminds me of that. Like she's constantly feels this compulsion to explain things and make herself look good. And I don't know. I don't know where it comes from,
or
but
to be seen or heard or to be validated.
Validated, all of it. I think all of it. She desperately wants to be validated.
One of these days we're going to crack this nut of hers. All right. So now we're going to an event downtown to see the high school friends.
Yay. Ken is being weird as usual.
Let's see. Who was it that said that? What was it like that? Kody. So there was this girl, right? Janae Harmon.
I can't believe you wrote all these people's names down.
I always like to write a name down.
Oh my gosh.
That apparently that Kody, I guess, had a crush on her. That he painted her headlights black, which I thought was kind of effed up.
That's fucked up. Yeah.
Yeah, and but apparently he did it because he was trying to get her attention. That he was kind of like this dorky boy trying to get her attention. Well, that she thought he did it just to be the center of attention yet again.
Well, every single person said something along the lines of Kody had to be the center of attention. He was a showboat. Several of them said that they thought he was gay. And one woman said she thought he was flamboyantly gay.
Yes, I wrote that down. Yeah.
So, yeah, and I think because he was just, I mean, that's a terrible, this is such a terrible thing to say. But back then, if any man was in any way feminine or just goofy, or people would call him gay, whether they were gay or not.
Yeah, I mean, especially in Lovell, Wyoming.
Exactly. Where this town, the population is like 3,000 people, or not even 3,000 people. I wrote it down. 2,361.
Wow. That's crazy.
So can you imagine? I mean, this is such a little enclave.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and then what was this? Yeah, Janae said, Janae had some interesting thoughts because she commented on him being a polygamist, and she said this was a built-in way for you to be the center of attention all the time, which is exactly what you've always been. And then we get back to this discussion. We get back to Ken, and Ken talks about how, we go back to this idea of going from LDS to being a polygamist. And he said, we grew up with Kody and we thought he had the same beliefs, and he surprised us all. And he talks about how when I got back from the mission, we heard about your parents and we figured that he says this, we figured you went the same way. And then he says, I didn't take it personally. I thought he was stupid. I couldn't figure out what was going on in his head. It didn't make sense to me. He's saying all these things, but it's like, okay, that all seems okay. So you're saying to us, okay, you heard about your parents, you figured he went in that same direction, but now you're saying you thought it was dumb and you couldn't figure out what was going on in his head. Which one is it, Ken?
I know. Ken's all over the place. Ken is just really, really bitter. I bet he's still upset to this day.
Yeah. But then I have to say, Ken goes into this whole thing about being worried about Kody's soul. And then I thought the best part was when that one woman called him to the carpet. She nailed his ass. She really did. Did you see that point?
What'd she say?
Well, there was this woman who was basically saying to him, well, I heard you, Ken, talk about going on a mission. So you're telling about going on a mission. Isn't part of being going on a mission talking about and proselytizing your religion, talking about what it is and what you're doing? So how is it different than Kody joining this, talking about it, being enthusiastic about it? And Ken goes into this whole thing about how it was so weird that this is different because there's such that LDS Mormon is very close to this, whatever this weird church is that they're a part of, that it's so close that it could really confuse people. That it'd be different if he
they're
became
like,
a
I didn't
Catholic.
realize I was signing up for,
Yes.
for a polygamy.
That if Kody became a Catholic, that it would be so different. But since he was becoming this new thing, that it was so close.
He thought he was going to, trick people?
Yeah.
He'd be tricking people.
But I think what was also interesting about this was that Kody's mom, I think, was very close to Ken's mom. And I think what happened was this. I think that Ken's mom and Kody's mom were chit-chatting. And I think that Ken's parents, or Ken's dad, was getting real worried.
Right.
And I think that
He wanted to shut that down.
And I think that Ken saw his parents, or maybe some dynamic between his parents, getting very concerned. And I think that Ken maybe was worried about his family, the family dynamics, about what was going on with his family at the time. And I think that's what was happening. And I think that Ken maybe, in his own way, started to maybe see some things happening in his own family and then just decided to blame all of it on Kody's family and what was going on. And then all of a sudden it was just like, shoo. Then it became easy to sort of blame Kody, blame the family. And I also think that maybe Ken thought in his mind, like, oh, I thought Kody and I were going to be friends forever. I thought we were going to get married. Like, we were both going to get married. I thought we were both going to marry these Mormon girls. I thought we were going to have this life together. I thought we were going to live in this town together. I thought we were going to go boating on the weekends together. I think that Ken probably thought his life out with him for the rest of his life, and was like, wait a second, you just changed everything. That isn't fair. Some people don't like that.
That's an intense relationship.
I don't know, but this is how intense but how weirdly intense is he with all this stuff?
Is. Or maybe his parents just told him, like, you can't hang around with him anymore. This is evil, this whatever their thing they're doing, and they're going to go to hell and whatever. So who knows? Anyway.
Yeah. But I just think but Janelle talks about this too. Janelle says she was really surprised, right? She talks about how she was like, we just had this really nice time with Ken. We just went boating with you. We just met your family. We just spent all this time. We thought we mended fences, and now you're pissed off again. Like, what the F,
Well,
Ken?
Kody said he thought he healed their relationship 10 years ago or something, or whenever they started working. Well, Ken didn't speak to him for 10 years. And then they reconnected. They went into business together for 8 years. He thought it was healed. He thought this was like in the past. And he shows up here and finds out that, oh, no. Ken is still very upset.
Yes. But Ken says, well, we've moved through the shock factor. Shock factor? This is 20 years ago. And that now we're at the tolerant factor of the religion.
Oh, my God.
And it's like,
how many decades is it going to take to make you feel better, Ken?
No, I don't know. I mean, I really don't know, Ken. I don't know what Ken's... I don't know what Ken's problem is, but Ken is, I don't know. I have to diagnose Ken, but I don't know. Ken is a fascinating person because Ken does not like change. No. Ken does not like it when someone rips the rug right out from underneath you. All
right, let's move on from Ken.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Again, just like Rob and Ken fascinates me, these two fascinate me. Okay. You want to move on to the fireworks?
Yeah, let's move on to the fireworks. I don't really remember much about them, but
well, this is the best, right? So they're at the horseshoe spin. There's fireworks. There's lots of people. Everyone's friendly, taking pictures. And then did you hear Kody telling people, he's like, yeah, I'm going to be selling real estate soon.
Yeah.
In a couple months, I'm going to be selling real estate. I love how you've skipped over, right? Like last time we saw you, you were putting up signs in a window, open house signs. But in any moment, you're going to be selling real estate.
Yeah.
I'm like, have you told Mona that yet?
Yeah, it's talking about, I'm going to be getting some businesses going. Oh, God. Once again, some things never change.
And this is where we meet April Smith, who talked about how he was flamboyantly gay, very feminine. He wore tight pants. And he had this thing with his hair in high school.
And did she mention something about the wrestling?
No. She didn't talk about wrestling at all.
I don't know why I have written down here wrestling. Like that was part of the gayness that she thought she saw in him.
Well,
I don't know.
Yes. And then, but they talk about how, if it was today, it would be more like metrosexual. But you're right.
And the wives are trying to say that Kody's metrosexual, he's fashionable and in touch with his feminine side. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I just think it's all part of he just likes attention. But I do think it is really interesting that people talk about this, that all of these people from high school nailed it really well. This Janae, who said it makes sense that he would want to do that this is what appealed to him, was he will always be the center of attention.
Yeah.
Like this is why he does it. It's got nothing to do with religion. It's got nothing to do with some spiritual higher calling. It's got to do with the fact that you are always going to be the one that everyone wants to see all the time. You're always the one that's in demand.
Whether they want to or not, you're just, there.
But you're always the one that's longed for.
Yeah.
I
know. Well, and then I think it ends, the episode ends with the revealing of the name.
Oh, yes.
And do they have a whole nother get together for this? I can't remember.
Let's see. Kody feels hopeful. He feels like he's been embraced by the community. He can walk with his head held high.
Okay.
And then they have the baby named Solomon, which I don't know enough about the Bible. Do you know anything about what King Solomon? Who is Solomon?
I don't know. Don't ask me.
Okay.
I know nothing about the Bible.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Anyway, that's
Did they have? I don't know. Probably.
I can't remember if
they have gatherings for everything.
I think maybe they'd have. I don't know. Who cares? Anyway, the name is Solomon, and that's the episode.
Yes. And that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you saw this post on Instagram that Christine posted.
No.
Okay. So she and David and Truly were out in nature somewhere. I don't know. It was, but they were next to these really, really big rocks, like a wall of rocks, like a huge rock structure. So anyway, apparently Truly was hiking up these rocks and she got stuck at the top and didn't know how to get down and kind of panicked. And so David, very calmly, without yelling at her or whatever, calmly went up there and helped her and showed her how to get down and, was very patient with her. And they got down. She kind of chronicled this and, had the pictures of them at every stage on the rocks or whatever. And then she said something to the effect of, it's, so great to have someone around who's so, patient and good with Truly. And so it was real shade to Kody, because I don't know, do you remember this episode? And this was all the people in the comments were like, yep, riding the bike episode. Because there was an episode where Kody is trying to teach Truly how to ride a bike.
I don't know if I ever got to that episode.
Okay. It's when they first moved to Flagstaff, I think. And so she doesn't really want to ride the bike, but he's kind of forcing her to do it. And she's saying, I'm scared. And, he's telling her, just go, just pedal. So the whole time she's saying, I don't want to do this. I'm scared. I'm not ready. And he's like, well, you're going to do it. You're going to do it. You have to do it. And at one point she even says, it's not fair. It's my body. I should be able to decide what I want to do with my body.
Right. Yes, truly.
Yeah, she really stood up for herself. But Kody just kept pushing, and he gave up at some point, but it was so typical Kody. And he was kind of yelling at her, making fun of her because she couldn't ride the bike. And he was just the opposite of being patient. And so immediately everybody thought of that. You know?
Yeah.
So it was really funny. I was reading some of the comments and everyone was shading Kody for that.
Well, I guess Truly's enjoying her new stepfather.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Her new
always
life.
going to Disneyland every month.
I saw those pictures.
Oh yeah, they ate at that Club 33, which it's always been a private club. It's like kind of near where the Pirates of the Caribbean is in that the French quarter there. It's like up above. It's a private club that usually you have to be a celebrity or know somebody. And I guess now they've opened it up they're letting regular people come in, but I'm sure it's very expensive. I mean, I'm sure to eat dinner there is just to go in, it's probably a couple grand or something. So yeah, he took her to that.
Oh, nice.
So things are
I'm
good.
I'm glad Christine's living her best life out there in the world.
Yep.
Well, do you have any other gossip out there? Is it
No,
pretty slow?
The stuff I've seen on social media has just been, feel good kind of stuff. I haven't seen any real gossip. And it's just kind of the regular stuff of people, dragging Kody and Robin.
We don't have a date for the new season.
I've heard September from a couple different places. I don't know how.
Okay.
But that would make sense. I mean, when the show ended, it's been.
I mean, that makes sense because I think it was the fall last time too.
Yeah.
So yeah, but before they used to, the show used to be out. They used to run. Didn't they run like 2 seasons a year or something? It seemed like.
Yeah, because they have more than 10 seasons. I mean, it'd be like 2 seasons a year almost. So maybe it just took longer because of all the changes.
Yes.
Because they're now having to do production in Utah and in Arizona and in wherever else. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
So
exciting stuff. All right.
Yep.
Well, all right. Sounds good. Well, thank you so much for listening. So if you like our podcast and enjoy it, please give us a 5-star review and write us a few kind words. And if you enjoy this podcast, please subscribe and tell a friend or two to subscribe as well. And follow us on social media. We are on Instagram and TikTok at Psych Legal Pop. And I think that is it. Is that all the info?
Think so.
Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
This message comes from Jackson. Taxes aren't something you can only think about once a year. With investments, planning for tax day is year-round. Fortunately, Jackson offers tax-efficient products. Visit jackson.com for more information on how our products can make your tax bill a little bit less painful. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Incorporated, Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York.
Howdy, howdy, ho, and welcome to Fantasy Fan Fellas. I'm Hayden, producer of the Fantasy Fangirls podcast and your resident lover of all things Sanderson.
And I'm Steven, your bookish internet goofball, but you can call me the Smash Daddy.
And we are currently deep diving Brandon Sanderson's fantasy epic, Mistborn. But here's the catch. Steven here has not read Mistborn before.
That's right, hey. So each week, you'll get my unfiltered, raw reactions to every single chapter.
And along the way, we'll do character deep dives, magic explainers, and Steven will even try to guess what's next. Spoiler alert, he'll be wrong.
Newsflash, I'm never wrong. Episodes come out every Wednesday, and you can find Fantasy Fan Fellas wherever you get your podcasts.